Happy Football Friday to everybody. We are in the midst of what is the final week of the regular season. So that is very interesting for us because this game has a lot of implications on the playoffs, even though technically we're kind of in and everything. We still have a chance to get the 2 seed and the 1 seed if Philly completely falls apart. We are supposed to have Beto in here with us, Niner Sickness, and there's a possibility of 2 more guests coming along. But for now, you guys are just going to have to deal with me and Wolf. So I hope you're okay with that. So before we get started, I just want to ask Wolf how he's doing. How's your Friday going, man?
It's going good, bro. Doing well, ready for some football. Of course, with the great news we've been getting from the Damar Hamlin situation. I know I'm probably jumping the gun a little there, but I mean, things were really weird about football after, when that situation happened. Everything kind of just stopped, and it's like, how do you even continue anywhere near this week with continuing football? Really. So I just really felt weird about the whole thing. I can imagine how the players felt. So good that everything's getting rolling with his health and with football as well.
Yeah, that's actually one of the topics. So we could jump right into it.
Yeah.
I live in Rochester, New York, so I'm in Bills country. The Bills are upstate New York. I live in upstate New York. It's first thing the news starts with every day. And I saw on Twitter this morning when I got up that he's talking and he's communicating with his teammates via Zoom or FaceTime. Was part of meetings. The tube is out. So that's all really good, fantastic news. He's still in critical condition. So, I mean, he's not out of the woods yet, but I think, what we're seeing is like super duper promising from what we saw a couple of days ago. I remember I was doing the NWO stream this past Monday, and like I was telling Ted yesterday, it was just a real sense of guilt and kind of uncomfortable feeling. Talking Niners, we had the stream kind of already ready to go, so it was one of those things where, we were talking Niners, but my mind was kind of already kind of checked out. So if you go watch that stream, I look like I smoked a massive amount of marijuana before I started because I'm just in like some other planet. Allegedly. But not that anything's wrong with that if you do that. I'm not judging. Yeah. I'm just saying that's what it looked like.
Depending on your state and whatever they...
Yeah, depending where you live.
Don't want to get anybody caught up.
Yeah, no, we don't want to get anybody in trouble. I mean, but if you got to smoke up, just be smart about it. But yeah, that was a really weird situation. I saw you streaming that night. Man, you had massive people in there. And you were talking about that. And I was just like, hello, man. Like, you struck the nerve. And how was that stream? Like, was it just a lot of discussing what was going on with him?
It was kind of like just a circle of people coming together, keeping each other updated, and kind of just sharing our sympathies with the family, with the player, kind of going through some of even what people have gone through with a similar situation. A lot of people's emotions getting re-triggered from past traumas and stuff like that they've gone through. But yeah, we're just kind of helping each other stay in the loop. And actually, one comment that comes to mind that popped up on there even today was this lady that chimed in, and she's like, you handled it really well, you and David, because David McNiner was on there co-hosting with me. And so he got a little bit of a shout out from her. And she's like, you guys handled it really well. Really thank you for the stream. I'm a Buffalo Bills fan from New York as well. So yeah, it was just really cool for everybody to come together from all different fan bases and, have respect. There was maybe like one disrespectful comment in there out of everything, out of thousands of people that chimed in. So it's just great to hear that he's doing good. They got the tube out of there. One guy I still haven't heard about that I need to go check on him is Jeremy Renner. So still praying for him. Hope everything's going good with him, man.
There was a video of him circulating yesterday. He's pretty beat up. He was like kind of talking to the camera, but you couldn't really understand him. because his face is all bruised up. His sister was like, I don't know if they were like washing his hair underneath a skull cap, but she was kind of like rubbing his scalp while he was talking.
Mm.
He's got, he chest contusion. He got one of his lower legs caught underneath that thing. So,
Oh my God, man.
and he lost massive amounts of blood. So,
That is so
he's
crazy.
a big time 49er fan.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I'm like, oh, I gotta let anybody who's a Niners fan know this, or even if you're not a Niners fan, the fact that if you're a Jeremy Renner actor, Marvel Cinematic Universe fan.
Yeah.
One thing, David McNiner said this, and I will say, I was just talking to my mom and my brother. I said, for screwed up as the world is, and how much hate and racism and all this other trash that people deal with on a daily basis,
Yeah.
I think it's people. People have people have an automatic sense of. Most of us have a sense of like morality that I think at certain times people just all come together, and like you saw people from a lot of different walks of life, backgrounds, race, whatever you want. Everyone was really, because this kid is like 24 years old and
Mm-hmm.
pretty much had a heart attack on the field, and like as crappy as a lot of things are in this world and how people act and all this, just the craziness, people inherently have morals. Most of us, not saying all of us do. And it was nice to see that kind of like, sometimes people can actually come together and be positive. So it was kind of a nice change. Like you said, there's always going to be people that are going to say negative things and be completely disrespectful, because that's just what trolls are. You just got to learn to kind of weed that stuff out. Would you, I know we haven't talked really Niners yet, but what did you think of the whole situation with, not Stephen A. Smith,
Skip Bayless. Skip Bayless.
Super uncomfortable. I did not feel good watching that.
Oh, I didn't watch it. The only thing I saw was his tweet. I was very curious. I haven't gotten a chance to check out his first interaction with Shannon Sharp, which is, I'm assuming that's what you're talking about, right?
He pretty much said he wouldn't take down, and he stands by what he said.
Yeah, I think what he did say, because at first reaction, it's kind of, it's very disrespectful. But then I was kind of trying to read it in his voice, and it's like he's saying the standings and everything, it's really important. How can the NFL do this? Like, just as an overall question is what it sounds like to me. And then because at the end he says ... because it seems so irrelevant at a time like this, basically. So I kind of understand where he's coming from. I don't know exactly what tone. I haven't heard it from the horse's mouth exactly, but from me trying to have a little bit of understanding from reading it through a different lens, I didn't want to jump to a reaction and the bandwagon right away. But yeah, it did come off pretty stupid at first reaction.
A lot of people, including Ryan, says that Skip worded it so it would be taken the wrong way to get attention. Yeah, I mean, he is a guy that is all about engagement. So if that's what your job is, to get engagement and clicks, he did a fantastic job. I know former NBA player Matt Barnes pretty much said if he was sitting there, he would want to go across the table and choke him out. To me, I didn't tweet anything. I didn't really go in on social media, because really, it's disrespectful to even engage in any conversation that doesn't have to do with the health and safety of Damar. So any other discussion about any other trash is just irrelevant, really. You know what I mean? Like, who cares about the game? Who cares about if they cancel a game? Like, this kid almost died. He's still not necessarily out of the woods. So I just think it's interesting that they're going to go possibly. I don't know if they're how exactly, if they've named somebody a division champion, or I know they're not playing the game. It's just a really weird situation.
It depends who's all going to win this weekend. It could be at the Chiefs, I believe. If not, then it'll be at a neutral site, being SoFi Stadium. So that's going to be interesting.
Definitely.
They're all East Coast teams, so they're whoever it's going to be is going to have to come fly over to SoFi, way across the whole U.S. So pretty interesting.
Want to say good hello to the chat. We had Ryan come in before the stream started and said good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming through, Ryan. Raphael 562 always in the chats in the stream saying hello to everybody that was supposed to be here. But he said hello to us. East Coast Red and Gold podcast saying what's up. Thank you very much for coming through. We got Stevo Supremo, about one of the best names on YouTube, gotta say. Saying what's going on. Damian Lee is in here giving score predictions. He says 32-13. I can live with that. The real Geddes says, what's up, guys? I'm not familiar with your name. You've probably been in here before, but I'm old and I have memory issues. So if that's the case, just understand that. And then, of course, David McNiner is in here with us, always supporting the stream since the word jump. He's one of my OGs of people that's followed me. And he's got probably one of the cleanest thin goatees I've ever seen in my life. So just want to let him know. He pulls off the Stone Cold Steve Austin freaking perfect.
Yeah.
Just let you know.
Yeah, 100.
So the Niners this Sunday are in play for the first seed, but it's looking like the Giants are resting players. Second seed is more likely. Mindset for you when it comes to playing people, knowing that we have a playoff spot. Are you cool with playing people, knowing we could still affect our seeding, or are you of the mindset that like, hey, we got to protect these guys? Who cares if we lose? We're in the playoffs, so be it. What kind of how does your mind work with this?
I'm so confident in the depth in this team to begin with that I feel we can win in very formidable fashion with our second string players, like JP Mason, TDP, Elijah Mitchell's supposed to be in there. So that's a starter to begin with right there. CMC is one of the major guys. He was questionable for this week and he's already been cleared to play. They're pushing him to do so. I do like him playing if needed, but I don't think we need to. And I know people are talking about if we get him into the playoffs and he doesn't play this week, he might be rusty going into the playoffs. Man, it's Christian McCaffrey, bro. Come on, like that's what practice is for. So if you need game reps, then you must not be doing and taking care of business in practice the way you should, which he's a very professional guy, holds himself like a CEO. So him, I think even Debo Samuel, his professionalism has been questioned in the past, but I think he's kind of become more of a seasoned veteran and he knows what it takes. And this offense has been operating on a super high level without Debo to begin with and Elijah Mitchell. But Elijah Mitchell, I understand more because he hasn't been there in a long time, just coming off injury. But yeah, I would like to rest players.
The Niners have a unique situation because they've proven they can win on the road and do things the hard way. But at the same time, it's not always a guarantee that we're going to go on the road and beat somebody. There's a lot of talent in this NFC. There's a lot of talent on the teams that we could potentially be playing. I mean, Dallas has the same record. The Niners defense showed a little bit of weakness last week. So you wonder if teams are starting to zero in on that. So it's not like if we go on the road, it's just going to be an easy cakewalk. I think it's to the contrary. So I think we'll know a little bit by the time kickoff starts. I think Philly, because Philly and the Philadelphia Eagles and the Giants are East Coast. So that game will have already been played. So technically the Niners will know that they're not getting the 1 seed, I would assume, by 4. Like the game, I think, starts at 4:25 Eastern time. So, they'll know by then whether they got the 1 seed or not. And then it's just a matter of how bad do they want the 2 seed or the 3 seed. I think, to me, Wolf, I think it's super important that we get the 2 seed. And I think I'll take a page from Beto's book. It's football, man. You gotta put your best players out there, especially when seeding is on the line. Now, if they were going into this and it was like one of those mathematical situations where this team had to win and this team had to lose and this team has to beat this team by this many points in the standings, it's like, then I would just say, screw it, don't worry about it. But the Niners still have a chance to affect their seeding. And until that isn't the case, regardless how bad I would love to see guys get rested, I just don't think it's going to happen. A lot of people that I didn't think were not going to play are going to play in this game. We'll talk about it in a bit, but Elijah Mitchell's been cleared to play. Debo Samuel's been cleared to play. Christian McCaffrey looks like he's going to play. I know Aaron Banks is not playing and Greenlaw's not playing. Like I said, we'll get to that in a sec, but I don't know, man. I'm of the mindset that until we can't affect the seeding, then you have to kind of go with it full force. But maybe they do some sort of rotation during the game. Maybe it happens. Maybe you're right. Maybe they'll approach things a little differently, but I guess we won't know until 4:25 Eastern time.
Well, yeah, I double checked that because I was like, I was pretty sure that the 49ers and the Eagles are playing at the same time, and they are. So they're both going to play at 2:25 Mountain Time, where I'm at right now. So that's one of the things that Kyle Shanahan has to keep an eye on, is he's going to have somebody in his ear or something kind of keeping score and letting him know what's going on with the Eagles and Giants game at the same time too, and see how much of a cushion we have. Try and rest those guys as soon as we can, as early in the game as we can, which this is a division opponent, and their defense got to look at us on Monday Night Football in Mexico. They got completely disrespected and smacked in the mouth. So maybe it'll be a little bit of a better matchup defensively the second time around for them. But we're just going to have to wait and see, because now we got another weapon on our hands, which is Glock Purdy. It's not Jimmy Garoppolo this time.
No, it's not Jimmy Garoppolo. Man, It's amazing how much it's amazing how Jimmy Garoppolo is in the conversation, even when we don't want to talk about him. Not talking about you, but I'm just saying in general, in the public. I think it wasn't Skip Bayless. It was the guy who, let's see, what's his name? His daughter dated Trey Lance. I'm trying to think of his name.
Colin Cowherd.
Yeah, he still kissing Jimmy's ass right now, even with the whole Brock Purdy playing. It's just like some people just, I don't know, they have narratives, man. They have to force those narratives even in situations where they have no place. So I just thought it was hilarious. But, hey, man, I'm on YouTube. I try to push narratives too, I guess, to an extent. I'm not a national name, so nobody cares about me. But when you have a lot of money on the line and you have a huge brand, then I guess if your whole thing, your whole shtick is to piss people off and make them talk, then he's doing a fantastic job at that. So.
Yeah, I think he kind of looks like the under the table publicist now.
What is we'll kind of transition to Brock Purdy. Last week was definitely one of those, hey, we have to see what Brock can do in a different situation other than being in the lead all the time. And last week definitely was a different situation. My comfort level was weirdly high, considering he was, the game had meaning. I think like I was with Jimmy, there was always that sense of dread. And with Brock Purdy, I didn't have that. I remember Bashar on Monday, 49er Minded, talking about how he had a sense of calm too. He didn't get that with Jimmy. How are you feeling in that game? Just the way the game played out, the way that it was like kind of a shootout back and forth. How'd you feel about Brock? Do you think he passed another huge step?
Oh, yeah. Just going back to what you're saying, man, that's one of the things I really did not like about having Garoppolo as quarterback in the playoffs and really just overall last year. That I was ready for Trey Lance, and Garoppolo came out and had his best season with the 49ers. I think this year he was having it, and he was doing some things better, which was pretty surprising. But overall, still, I think that sense of anxiety was that under Garoppolo, this offense is very stale, and he doesn't, he's not known to make comebacks from over 10-point deficits. If you give him the ball and you need 3 points with 2 minutes left, solid. But if you need 14 points coming from behind, Garoppolo's probably not your guy, man, unless you're the Rams. Oh, man. But outside of the Rams, yeah, man, Brock Purdy's been playing consistently. He's consistently putting up like 35 points per game, man. So he's been great. He's been adding dynamic versatility to the 49ers offense and delivering the ball where it needs to go to the playmakers' hands and letting them do the rest as well, getting them in space. No hospital balls for the most part. So I love it, man. I think that's part of the calmness and poise that we felt as fans is we can feel that energy vibing through Brock Purdy.
It's weird to like what he lacks in arm strength and size as a player, just as a guy, he makes up for in like testicular fortitude and moxie and that second movement ability. Like one rush that came in during that game, I think it was from the big pass rusher on the Raiders, Crosby, and just that little mini Russell Wilson spin that he did out of there. And he threw to Kittle for the first down. Wasn't a big, huge throw, but it was just like, man, I was just so impressed that, you know, no matter what you throw at him and no matter what the situation is, he is the same level of player. Jimmy Garoppolo, you can tell when the things were amped and the pressure was high. I mean, you could see his body language. Even in press conferences with the constant, like, ruffling of the shirt and, you know, the rubbing of the beard. He's like a nervous guy, and Brock Purdy just stands there completely stoic. Little guy. He reminds me of a friend I grew up with who's about 5'6" and was the bravest, biggest hearted dude ever. Played kick returner in high school football, got his shoulder separated. He was just the most fearless little dude I have ever seen in my life. And Brock Purdy gives me the same vibe of just like absolutely zero fear. And then you get a big dope like me, big old guy who has zero testicular fortitude when it would probably come to playing professional sports. So props to Brock. Big fan of his. You know, a lot of people are making the assumption that, you know, because he's playing so well, things are set in stone for next year and Trey Lance is going to lose out on the job. And I'm just, like I told people early on, just let things kind of work out the way that they have. Enjoy the ride, and you know, who knows, we could get a Super Bowl out of this. So, why ruin it by thinking about the long game? Just think about what's happening right now. I'm just really, really, I don't know. I just haven't felt this comfortable in a long time watching 49er football, at least at the quarterback position, and especially with the defense kind of looking wonky lately. It's with Jimmy Garoppolo, there was definitely a fear of like, I don't think we can keep up score wise with these guys, because it's almost like he just had a certain, like the amount of field goals attempted under Jimmy Garoppolo's reign as far as an offense is just silly. And with Brock, I don't ever feel like a sense of like, oh man, we're not going to get any points out of this. This is going to be a wasted opportunity. I always have the exact opposite response. So 49er Minded says he digs the Stranger Things background. Yeah, I had somebody make it for me. As you guys might know, I'm a huge Stranger Things fan. And so I got the whole little deal here. So I hope you guys like it if you're a Stranger Things fan. I know it doesn't really fit football, but I really don't care. It's my channel. So anything else on the Brock Purdy front that you're interested in seeing, or have you pretty much said what you had to say?
Yeah, man. I mean, you know, Garoppolo always had trouble in the playoffs, man. So I just hope,
right.
And I'm pretty confident in Purdy. I'm pretty confident, no pun intended, but he's been consistent, like I said. And so I think he's going to roll into the playoffs. I'm still very confident in him. So we're just going to have to wait and see, but I feel good about it, man. I like it.
I feel really good too, which is weird. And I know Bashar, he's in here. He says he feels really good with him at quarterback too, which is super, you know. Bashar, I know, is a big Trey Lance fan, and he really wanted to see him get his sow his oats this year. And I was really of the same mindset too. So, but I'm not going to hate on Brock for doing well, for sure.
One thing about because I see people comparing Garoppolo's start with the 49ers, the beginning of his tenure with the 49ers, to Brock Purdy's, and that it's very close and similar stats and this and that. But if you look at the difference in the way the games were played and Garoppolo having to either come from behind or they were very super close games, which, he had just gotten here, so it's a little more understandable. But Brock Purdy is blowing teams out consistently.
Right.
Of course, it's not on his own, but, Garoppolo had most of these same guys with him for the most part when he got here. So that's another reason I'm confident. And shout out to everybody that's been giving us shout outs in the comments. I've been seeing you guys. Appreciate it.
Just responding real quick to one of the special guests that I try to have on. Doesn't look like he's going to make it.
That little shit ass.
Yeah. Huh?
I said that little shit ass.
Right. There's multiple little shit asses. It's okay though. I'm just hoping Beto's okay. Beto is okay. I haven't got any response for him. I know he was up streaming late last night, so maybe he's just sleeping. So if anybody knows, if you can get in touch with him and has his phone number, go check on that guy. I just want to make sure the big guy's okay. One person this year who a lot of people talked about in the offseason as having a potential big year, and then Trey Lance got hurt, and a lot of people thought that would be affected, was Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk has been nothing short of amazing these last couple games. The last game against the Raiders, the drive that, Robbie Gould missed the kick, big catches, the ball that was kind of knocked into the air by the hit to Purdy as he was throwing, the mindset of being engaged in a play, even though the play may not have been going to you, which has been some people have criticized Ayuk in the past for maybe not always being super mentally engaged. I've seen such a transformation in this kid, and he's really someone I've been wanting to see kind of grow, and he's definitely starting to become that. Mm-hmm. What's your take on him? And he's about 44 yards away from 1K. So they need to feed him the ball and get this man over 1,000 yards. How you feeling about Brandon Ayuk?
I feel like now's the time to get him a play action deep shot on the very first play of the game offensively. But that was something that was in question. You probably remember me talking about it last week before the 49ers and Raiders game. Ever since Brock Purdy's taken over, I feel like Brandon Ayuk's production has gone down, and Kittle's production has gone up. Now, so I wanted to see that chemistry with Ayuk and Brock Purdy progress and get a lot better, and then kind of show us some signs that there's something there. Felt confident in it, but that was something I feel like in this Raiders game, we saw it flip-flop before our eyes. I feel like Kittle had a pretty damn bad game, and Ayuk had a really good one for the most part, especially there at the end, right? So it's kind of weird, and it's great that you can see Brock Purdy utilize his different weapons and give everybody the ball for when the situation calls for it. Even Ray McCloud stepping up in the offense, and everybody's getting the ball in this offense, man. I love it.
Hell, Juwan Jennings is involved too.
Yeah.
I think that's the one thing you want to see as a fan is I want to see how we could play if, say, a certain player is taken out either by the defense, they scheme him out and they take him away. Mm-hmm. Can we still be a productive offense getting the ball to other players? I mean, wow. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is like a cheat code, right? But yeah. It's nice to have other people to be able to rely on. I'll say this. The Niners offensively, skill position wide, have enough players to compete with the big offenses. I don't know if necessarily have the quarterback, but as skill position wise, like the Chiefs, all these other teams, the Niners have more than enough skill position players to compete with any of this, anything that any team could throw at us. Especially if the defense falters. Do you agree that it's like imperative that the Niners kind of get other guys involved so that they can kind of show that they can be more than a one-trick pony with throwing constantly to Christian McCaffrey or running Christian McCaffrey or everything being Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah, I do, man. I've been saying it for a long time. I said, the silver lining in Debo being out is that some of these other guys kind of get to step up. And even, Elijah Mitchell, when he went down, I was like, while on the bright side, we get to see JP Mason now. We get to see hopefully guys like Danny Gray, Ray McLeod, now that Debo's out. Even Big Play Tay, we have yet to really see him. Willie
Right.
Snead, we have yet to see them get any production, but they are activated. They are on the sidelines, so maybe eventually they'll get something. But Willie Snead has been blocking really good, so they'll probably get him on some play action at some point. But yeah, it's like how we're talking about stuff with playing Elijah Mitchell, Debo, CMC before the playoffs to knock off that rust or to keep them in stride going into the playoffs. Well, I think it's the same thing with these other guys. You can't forget about them, because at some point, if we have to count on them, they're ready to go and they have that rep experience as well. So that's how I see it. I think it goes for everybody.
Yeah, the more the merrier. The more that you could add to the party, the better.
Oh yeah.
Being one-dimensional is the worst play to get or the best way to get yourself eliminated. If you're, one player injury away from not being able to have an offense that can move the ball. I mean, hell, people are like, oh, we overuse Christian McCaffrey. Hey, if the defense can't stop him, I agree with Kyle Shanahan. You feed him the ball, but at the same time, it's nice to see, Kittle have his game, or Ayuk have his game, or hell, even Ray McLeod is, like you said, has been part of the offense, which is super awesome. He's gotten shine since Debo's been on. Then, of course, Debo comes back. Debo's had a really strange year.
Yeah.
I think he was injured in camp, if I'm not mistaken, right? Ankle or hamstring or something.
He was out for, of course, his contract, all that stuff. So he missed most training camp and everything.
Yeah, and then he's been in and out of the lineup this year with all sorts of injuries.
Yeah, he had that scare with the hamstring strain as well. So yeah.
Yep. Somebody in the comments reminded me that 2 touchdowns away from 10 touchdowns for Ayuk, which is crazy because like receivers are getting like 15, 16, 18 touchdowns. But for the way we run our offense, for the caliber QB that we have, I think that's pretty all right. You know what I mean? This isn't the 1980s with Jerry Rice, getting 90 catches, 100 catches. Yeah. 1,800 yards. It's a different era, at least for the 49ers. It's more of a wide open era, but the Niners just don't play that kind of offense. What were you going to say?
Well, even just the 49ers, to pick them out, they're the most dynamic league. So everybody has to get the ball, and everybody's a playmaker on this team. So if you feed everybody, that's a recipe for success.
Yep.
Hit defenses in all different types of ways.
Yeah, you have to play. You have to play the whole field on defense. You can't concentrate on one guy.
Yeah.
The Niners back in the heyday, they had Brent Jones, Jerry Rice, John Taylor, Roger Craig. They had even Tom Rathman was part of the pass game. So there was, the worst saying ever. But there was more than one way to skin a cat. I hate saying that, but it's so bad. But you know what I'm saying?
Visual.
Like, yeah, the mental is on that is so bad. But because I love cats. But yeah, I mean, it's good to see an offense where you have multiple looks where you can kind of hit people from different places and they don't always know where it's going to go. And then you got Kyle Shanahan who can scheme the water boy open on a pass play. So you mix all that together. I think that's why a lot of people were super excited by getting possibly a quarterback like Trey Lance's caliber, because then it's like, man, how dynamic could we be? How much more of the field do teams have to defend? Oh, you got Danny Gray running deep. Oh, now Kittle's underneath, or you got this guy running crossers or whatever, because you have to worry about the deep ball. And I think part of the reason why there was so much kind of when he got hurt was just in our minds as fans, we could see the bigger picture of like, man, this offense could go, serious places. And, hey, we're not there. And we've had other quarterbacks have to step up, even Jimmy Garoppolo. Oh, a lot of people know I'm not a big fan of. He played well. I think a lot of that has to do with Brian Griese. I think he's a really good quarterback coach. And then Brock Purdy has just been nothing short of phenomenal. So the Niners are lucky. They've had 3 good quarterbacks this year, have been able to step up. So most teams can't say they have one, and the Niners have had 3. So
yeah, a lot of people.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. A lot of people are having that conversation of whether Kyle Shanahan should be named Coach of the Year. It might have to be Brian Griese.
Yeah, do assistants get that? Do
No,
assistants get that honor? Because
no,
no,
but
I
he
think
might be the guy.
yeah, it'd be the first year an assistant and be like, who the hell?
Yeah.
Somebody said something weird in the chat. I'm not gonna.
Uh-oh.
I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna say anything.
You already mentioned it. Now I'm gonna go look.
I was. It's a running joke.
Uh-oh.
He says, "I hear Brian Greasy does FaceTime with a greasy cell phone. That's pretty messed up."
Oh no.
Whatever.
Reminds me of the greased up deaf guy from Family Guy.
I've never seen that particular episode, but it sounds
It's
really messed up.
it's just some like how you said, it's like a running joke. It's like this random guy that's all greased up all over his whole body, dripping with grease, and runs around town like a crazy guy. It's weird.
We got my buddy, one of my gaming buddies in here. He's like, Aaron, you better be ready for some Red Dead Redemption and Chase Wagons. Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm a big gamer, and I love the Red Dead Redemption series. Probably my favorite game next to the Elder Scrolls series, because I'm a big Oblivion Skyrim fan. So
nice.
Fun. That's it. I'll definitely be doing that after the stream. Because I always get really uptight after streams, because I had a stream and like you always want to make sure you come across. So the best way to go is just go on Red Dead and go right around and, shotgun people and run over lawmen in the city. So I plan on doing that.
Yeah, if anybody has Madden, do you ever play Madden?
I haven't owned Madden in probably 4 or 5 years because the game is an absolute travesty.
Man, we need to get like a 49er content creator tournament or something.
Oh, I would get absolutely destroyed. I used to be really good at Madden because I used to play like my nephew who was really young, or apparently my brother says he wasn't trying, or I used to beat my one friend and I remember when I would beat my friend, he broke his PlayStation. He punched his PlayStation while we were playing because I was so inexperienced at the game. He played it hours on end. So I'm thinking I would just throw to my halfbacks and fullbacks all the time and tight ends constantly in this game.
Check downs.
Because I could never make any downfield throws. This was in like 1996, 97.
Mm-hmm.
And I was beating his booty. And he was really good at the game. He played it constantly. And he got so mad, he just put his fist right through the PlayStation. And that was the end of that game. So,
no.
But I've gotten progressively worse through the years. Most people get better. I've gotten worse. So let's talk about Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
The talk during the week was that he had some sort of ankle thing going on and should we rest him? But the report coming out is that he is going to play. Do you agree with this? Do you think they should sit him and let other people do the dirty work, like maybe a JP Mason or even a Ty Davis Price or somebody else, or even Elijah Mitchell? Or this is one where I agree with you. I would much rather him not play. But, the Niners mindset is they're going to play for the seeding and they're going to do everything that they can to guarantee the best possible outcome. So, how you feel about it?
Man, CMC, since let's take this for example. This is one of the points I wanted to make earlier with CMC, he's like the utmost professional, right? How many games did he have before he came to the 49ers, or how many days did he have before he came to the 49ers and played in that Chiefs game?
2.
Exactly. And when he was out there, he performed very damn well. So like I'm saying, that's just testament to his professionalism. He's going to prepare himself to the utmost capability that he can. And so he's not a worry going into the playoffs, whether he has to knock off rust. This is another situation like missing Debo. The offense is going to continue to strive regardless. We have to see how an offense would look without McCaffrey as well, just in case, knock on wood, anything were to happen. But he hasn't gotten any rest at all whatsoever outside of the bye week since coming to the 49ers. So I think he needs a break, man. Every week it's been, knee contusion, quad contusion, contusion this, contusion that, mild ankle sprain. It's something different every week, if not the continuous battering of his legs. So I would rest him.
Yeah, and he runs so hard, and he's just like everybody else on our team, and that's why we are one of the most injured teams offensively and defensively. Nobody goes down. Nobody goes out of bounds. It's always, oh, I got 4 guys wrapped up on me. I'm still going to try for 5 extra yards. Oh, I might roll my ankle, but that's okay. And it's just like the Niners are, when they're doing well and we're kicking everybody's butt, we love the physicality on defense and offense. But when we get hurt a lot and then all of a sudden we have, multiple guys missing multiple games, and now we're like, man, we need to do something about the physicality. We're all over the place with it, and I'm like that. I'm totally bipolar in real life and with football. So I of the mindset of you put your best players out there and try to win and do the best for your seeding, but you're right. There's so many other guys in this offense that could be out there. And does he really need to play this game? Does he really need to be in there? I say no. Of course, they think differently. They make all the decisions, all the money. So, Bashar made a good point. He said, build an early lead and then rest your guys. You in a perfect world, Bash, that's like the most, it's like a duh. That's exactly what we need to do. But I don't know. Nothing's for sure with football. I always get disappointed when we're not blowing somebody out by 28 points at halftime. So, what were you going to say?
Well, just take into context, like the way we blew out the Cardinals when Jimmy Garoppolo was the quarterback, and they had that veteran in Colt McCoy.
Right.
So now that we got a more dynamic quarterback like Brock Purdy, I don't think there's as much of a need for CMC, especially the way we blew them out last time. So it's just more and more it's pointing towards just rest him, which I know they're not going to do. He's going to come out and he's probably going to play the whole first half and then sit the whole second half. He's probably going to be the opener as he usually is.
If they go about it like the way they did with him playing the first half and then maybe bringing JP Mason in the second half, they did it a couple games and it worked. I mean, if that's their plan, and if we're up and then we go into the second half really just, eating clock and running over people, I wouldn't necessarily have a problem with that. I just don't want to see him in the late fourth quarter when we're up 15 points. Like, I know Kyle Shanahan is, just afraid that any team has the ability to come back and, you never know. But I want him in the playoffs because to me, he's like the cheat code, man. Any team we play in the playoffs, having Christian McCaffrey on the field at any point in the game is a mismatch in our favor. So,
yeah, and of course, if they end up resting him too early or they don't play him, then they're. I know everybody's going to point their finger at me if he comes out in the playoffs and starts fumbling or something, which is something
go after Wolf saying, "See."
It's like, hey, man, that's not my fault. That's what he's supposed to be practicing for as well. That you got all week to practice. You don't need to get all your practice in one game.
Yeah, he has not taken a rest since he's been here.
No.
If anything, he's been overused.
The
Christian
bye
McCaffrey
week was the only week that.
Other than that,
yeah.
And man, like every game, he's just. I mean, it's like every play, he's part of it. Even when he's not involved in the actual outcome of the play, he's a decoy. Teams are following him, letting guys run crossers and getting one-on-one matchups.
The only time somebody else gets a rep is when he's limping.
When he needs to go to the sideline for a breather. That's literally it. Yeah, it's Kyle Shanahan. That's why it's like a love and hate relationship I have with Kyle Shanahan. Sometimes it's like I understand the aggressiveness and wanting to keep your foot on the throat, but then at the same time, somebody gets hurt, like Trey Lance. Of course, everybody blamed Kyle for running him up the middle, and that's neither here or there. There's whatever on that argument. At this point, it's who cares. But, Kyle Shanahan has a tendency to overplay guys and overuse guys who are successful. And sometimes it comes to bite him in the rear end because then he has somebody get injured. The Niners have one of the most injured running backs room the last couple of years. I mean, how many times do we draft people or get these undrafted free agents in the talk in the offseason with all like the radio stations and the podcaster? Do the Niners have too many backs? And then every time we get to the season, we're always in the same boat of like, oh, I guess we got to sign Tevin Coleman to the team again. Like, it's like, it's never enough, especially the way Kyle runs his offense. So me and you both would love to see a game where he's not playing, but I can't imagine that being the case tomorrow or Sunday, excuse me.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't play outside of the first quarter.
Yeah. Hopefully he gets in and out and doesn't get hurt. Let's talk. We got Debo's return. Looks like he's playing. And so is Elijah Mitchell. That was the word from, I think, Kyle, and I listened to John Lynch this morning. Again, do you agree with either of those guys playing? Debo, I'm kind of interested in see because I think he needs the reps. I think he's been in and out of the lineup so much this year. It'd be nice to get him in a game where maybe he is part of the screen game or the run game or whatever. I'm just really nervous with him because of that situation that happened. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
Elijah Mitchell, he's like made of glass. I love the kid. I really do. Super talented, but he is so fragile. Why play either of them in a game that doesn't mean anything? So, I mean, what's your take?
Well, yeah, definitely. I think both of those guys should play, knock some of the rust off a little bit. It's kind of different with them because they're coming back from injury and they've been gone for so long. It's been what, like an average of like 6 weeks for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, with Debo, just don't run him up the middle, man. Get him running around, get him,
Yep.
lined up on the line, back in game day mentality and shape. And so not just game day shape and getting a sweat and all that, but his mentality, get his head in the game a little bit and, you know, get in some clock situations as well. If they can score some points with 2 minutes left before the half and then maybe rest him the second half or something like that. So that would be cool. And then Elijah Mitchell as well. Hopefully, we don't beat and batter him up too much, man, but it's just the way he runs. I feel like his physique isn't built as well for the way he runs as, that's more something like a guy like TDP should be doing. But kudos to Elijah Mitchell, the way he runs. We hopefully he can stay healthy, man. And let's get him on some runs around the edge as well, side to side. We'll see how well the run game does to the right side this time because McGlinchey's been a liability in the run game as well to the right. I don't know how many people have or haven't been seeing that, but most of our success goes to the left. So hopefully we could get Elijah Mitchell to the right, get him some success, not get stuffed in the backfield like I have seen so often this year.
Yeah, this is just from the get go. I think the Debo's just had a bad season, injury wise. Just the contract. He came in out of shape. He really hasn't been a factor. As much as we overused him last year, we have now taken CMC and replaced the abuse of one player getting the majority of all the touches with another guy. So I still think Debo is a really good player, playmaker, whatever you want to title him as. But I think, to be honest with you, I think it took a toll on him. And I think we're seeing it this year. He just hasn't been able to stay in the lineup. Again, he came in out of shape, a little fat, which is kind of off-putting considering you're getting a new contract. And for me, that would mean like you're totally committed to your off-season regimen and program and all that stuff. And the fact that he came in kind of fat, out of shape, and like not ready to go right away was just kind of off-putting to me. He wasn't the same player that we saw early in and at the end of last year where he was just, hey, Kyle, put me in, the guy that played against the Cowboys where he scored that touchdown. Just, he hasn't been that same player. Who knows? Maybe it's just an off year and he comes back next year and he's a completely different player. He's back to what he was. But I don't know, man. I mean, the usage that we put him under last year, I don't know. Maybe we've seen the best of him. I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm so glad Brandon Ayuk has kind of stepped up and stepped out in front of everybody to prove that, like, oh, well, hey, if Debo can't do it, I mean, we still have another guy that we can go to. And then, of course, Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. So,
yeah, I think there's something to be said. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm done.
Okay. I think there's something to be said for like, it being taken for granted that he was missing his training camp and OTAs and stuff like that. He said it himself. I saw that he was putting in a lot of work with his coaches in the gym and stuff like that. He was even working mitts and, running at the track and stuff like that. But that doesn't substitute for the practices you have on the field. It's like a boxer going out and running sprints and stuff like that, but you're not putting any reps in the sparring ring before your fight. So I think that's where Debo kind of messed himself up, but it's the contractual situation. So it's kind of understandable why he had to hold out and wait till he got that contract signed for the interest of his health. But I think it is it is having a toll on his play overall throughout the year. And then too, I don't know if because I know last year he was doing his yoga because a lot of his injuries in the past were like soft tissue injuries and
Hamstring,
yeah,
constantly hamstrings.
yeah. And it
Or
happened
like
like it happened like once this year, but last year, not this past off season, but the one before, he had been doing yoga, and that was a big part of his camp was his flexibility and stuff like that. I don't feel like I saw that much of it in at least the highlights of his workouts that I saw this year, or him really even emphasizing talking about it. So that's something that I need to go and check myself that I forgot to look out. But yeah, let's just make him break a sweat. Let's see if we could get him running around, maybe get him a jet sweep or something like that too.
yeah, get him involved
Yeah.
for sure. Is Purdy for real? Says a lot of players get the bag and then chill. It's human nature, man. I was really
Eye of the tiger.
Yeah, you almost got to stay broke to stay motivated. You know,
Yeah.
I think at any job, if you get a job that's less strenuous, and you get a promotion, the hunger or the motivation always goes down. I mean, I think a lot of people when they're hustling in life, trying to get to that place where they can be comfortable, their motivation is to get to the place where they can be comfortable. And then when they get to the place where they want to be comfortable, then they're comfortable and maybe the work ethic isn't the same as it used to be. And it's same in sports. It is a finite amount of time that these players have in the NFL. And at any point, anybody could get injured and their career is over. I mean, hell, look at Damar Hamlin. He may never play again. And he might not have any way of making substantial money unless the league steps in and helps him out financially, which we know the NFL says all the right things, but sometimes they don't actually do what they say. So I'm never mad at a guy for going out and getting paid. But at the same time, some people come back and are as hungry as they were before they got paid. And then some people, you never see quite that. Like they'll take themselves out of games. You know, it's weird. Christian McCaffrey always looks pissed when he has to come out and uneasy. And he's like the ultimate like football player where it's like anytime he's talking about his performance is always about what he missed and what he could do better. Same thing with Brock. Not saying that Debo isn't that guy, but it's just everybody's wired differently. Everybody's motivated differently. So I'm not, really surprised that maybe this year he took a step back. Hopefully he comes back next year and is more, in shape and is able to kind of last throughout the season. But we're still not done with this year, so I don't want to talk about next year.
Yeah, I'm glad the offense doesn't lean on him like it did towards the end of last season.
And then sorry, my computer's going a little wonky.
My bad. Did you get to hear what I said?
No, go ahead. Repeat yourself.
I was saying I got a couple points, but
go ahead.
I'm glad that the offense doesn't have to lean on Debo. I think that's part of it, having to share the rock with everybody else too, which is a good thing, right? You don't put it all on Debo like you did last year because he was limping into the playoffs and then he was just beat and battered the whole way through. And the 49ers were on the road the whole time going through the playoffs last year. So that's where seeding's going to help too. But anyways, I'm sorry to bring up boxing again, guys, but it just goes into your point. I remember in I think it was Rocky 3 when Mickey didn't want Rocky to fight Clubber Lang.
I know exactly what you're going to talk about.
Yeah, and he's like,
the worst thing that happened to you?
Yeah.
You got civilized.
The worst thing that could happen to any fighter. Yeah, what's that? You got civilized.
Now, 5 years ago, you were supernatural.
Yeah.
I know.
He'll knock you to tomorrow, Rock.
It's true, but it is true. People have a different motivation when they're up and coming. You know what I mean?
You got civilized.
When you're broke and you have no money.
Yeah.
That's why I understand Javon Kinlaw's motivation for wanting to be great at football. His body is, made out of fine china. He just can't stay on the field. Some people come from a really crappy upbringing and they're poor. They live in the ghetto, trashy, everything's garbage in their life, and sports is like a way out. So that's their motivation, and never wanting to return to that life. But like in the Rocky movie, like you said, yeah, you got civilized. So you get all the bells and whistles, the women, the money, the fame, and some people either concentrate harder to become even better, and some people just kind of fade away. So
yeah,
it sucks. I love Debo.
Yeah, we can't be too quick to judge too. Like, I'm not saying we're judging, but I feel like a lot of people will talk down on that. But it's like, if you grow up with nothing and then suddenly you have all this at your disposal, you don't know how that's going to feel. So,
and we're talking not just money. I'm talking about women being thrown at you.
Yeah.
You go from being a nerd or chicks don't like, and all of a sudden everybody wants to talk to you. It's like, oh, what's this?
Yeah, everybody's different, man. You'll never know who you would be in that situation until you're there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we all could talk from our pulpit and our pedestal about how we would be in the situation, but a lot of us would be exactly the same. Me with a lot of money would just be really bad because I'm really bad at money managing. So I would see stuff that I know that I really don't need.
Oh, no.
And it'd be like, here's the 401k over here.
Here's the tiger.
Here's the tiger that Mike Tyson had over there. I'm going to go for the tiger. No. Instead of saving my money, I have that problem. That's why if I, ever got married, I would love to marry a woman who's like, has my checkbook, because I need someone who's going to be like, nope, we're not buying that.
But be careful really, what you wish for, man. Be careful what you wish for.
Not necessarily a gold digger, but you know what I'm trying to say. Someone who could help me out with my finances.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan had a good, interesting question pertaining to the Cardinals. Does Cliff Kingsbury get fired on Sunday if the Niners beat him?
I believe so.
I do too.
Think so, man. I'm hearing talks about Sean Payton possibly taking over, but yeah, I think so. I'm not going to be too shocked if they're going to trade Kyler Murray for Sean Payton as well. That could be a trade they make to the Saints, because Sean Payton, as we know, is still under contract over there.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
And then there was talk I was seeing an article from Barstool, which I don't know if they're the most trustworthy source, that Miami could, after 1 year, move away from Josh McDaniels just because of the slide and collapse. I necessarily wouldn't. I used to be able to. Okay, when I was really skinny, before I had a double chin, I used to have, how your tendons in your neck, you could stretch them out.
Yeah.
I used to be able to flip my eyelids. I used to do that for my dad, and literally he would pee his pants. No. Come on, do Fire Marshal Bill, and I would do it. Back when I was really thin. I can't do that anymore because I'm way too chunky, but back in the day it worked. Man, I could have been an impressionist, but yeah. So like Miami, they're saying could move on from Josh McDaniel.
Oh, Mike McDaniel.
Why did I say Josh McDaniel?
I heard about that.
They might need to move on from him too. The Raiders.
I think it's just a hot take, man.
Think so?
That's a really toxic organization if you're going to get rid of Mike McDaniel so quick to jump the gun. He had a better start than Kyle Shanahan did over here with the 49ers.
He did.
And look what Kyle Shanahan has done. He still hasn't won the ship, but we've been in consistent battles for the NFC Championship and Super Bowl. So
yeah, we've been in every year.
Hey, but if they jump the gun, I'm all for it. I want Mike McDaniel to be successful, but
so do I.
One less competitor.
I want my brother's Dolphins to be successful. That's just my as a brother.
I'm evil, bro. I'm evil. I want
you're like screw every other team.
Everybody crash and burn. I could give a damn.
I know. That's what I really think. But as a brother, I have to be nice. Yeah. David Niner says the Dolphins' downfall is the 49ers' fault. They got wrecked and never recovered. I think it's like most teams that played us this year. Mm-hmm. I think the only team that could have possibly wrecked us, and we might have some problems as the Raiders with that performance defensively. Holy hell. I hope I'm wrong on that one, but that could have been the opposite effect. Um,
Yeah.
let's go to some more injuries. Greenlaw is out for this game with the back injury, and Aaron Banks. I'm really worried about Greenlaw going forward because back injuries are really, really touchy.
Yeah.
What's your concern on the Greenlaw situation?
I think he'll be good because he was day to day to begin with. And so they were considering him for this week to begin with. So that bodes well for going into the playoffs. And of course, I want Alshire and Flanagan Foles, two other really good linebackers
Mm-hmm.
to get some reps.
Yep.
So that's cool, man. Greenlaw's been doing really great. Let's see what these other guys got. And again, the Cardinals shouldn't threaten us very much so at all. So
Right, they're on their
I feel all
fourth
right
string
about
quarterback.
it. No. Just
Uh,
hope, like you said, hopefully Greenlaw's taking his fish oils, all his omegas, all his vitamins, and gets
get in
his
your cold tub, whatever you got to do, man.
yeah.
Just whatever. If you're an NFL player, stay away from masseuses. Okay, stay away, whoever you are.
Oh no.
Even if you have no bad juju and you're just going there for a massage, it's just better that you stay away. And then Aaron Banks, he's been playing really well this year too, considering, a lot of us, including myself, maybe thought the Niners made a mistake drafting him instead of having patience.
Mhm.
He's out for this game. The talk with Greenlaw was they said if it was a playoff game, he would have played.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Maybe it's a pain tolerance thing. I guess he got landed on his back, which caused the issue. It wasn't necessarily like a movement or a slip disc or something. It was more of like being bent the wrong way kind of deal.
Yeah.
So
Fred Warner dove like a damn torpedo into the inner of his thigh near his groin and twisted his body one way, and Greenlaw was on his back, so it twisted his back a little bit too.
why do you guys want me to do the cha-cha? I don't want to do the cha-cha. You guys
I
are
like
ridiculous.
do the cha-cha.
Oh my God. I love that movie. He ruins that guy, and it's so
Yeah.
messed up. Like at the beginning, you're kind of happy, but by the end of it, you're like, oh, that's so horrible. He starts crying.
Oh man.
That's a great movie.
It's all good. He got the sequel.
Yeah, he got the
That was
sequel.
good. Yeah.
He got humbled.
Yeah.
They made him like a new age Moses or whatever.
Yeah.
There's been talk of, I can't believe I'm going to say this because I really don't want to talk about him, but there is talk that possibly if the Niners make a deep playoff run, Jimmy Garoppolo could be back. What is Wolf's take on that? And do you want to see Jimmy Garoppolo again?
Yeah, I'm all for it, man. Do I want to see him as the starter? No. But would I like to have him back in the lineup? Yes. Just as insurance, in case, again, if anything were to happen to Brock Purdy, knock on wood. Still curious to see what Josh Johnson can do. I would like to see at some point if he can get some reps in this game before the playoffs, and if nothing, just for curiosity, man, see what Josh Johnson could do with this offense. But he'll probably be playing with the second stringers anyways, so it's not going to matter. But yeah, I would like Garoppolo back as insurance.
Agreed.
I think it's not in question that if he comes back, I don't think he's a starter anymore. I think Brock Purdy beat him out.
No, and this isn't one of my topics, but would you be mad if the Niners decided to have a quarterback competition in camp next year? Would you be upset?
I don't know if I would be mad. Well,
I know Bash would. I know Bashar would.
No, it depends. It depends on the outcome of this season. If Brock Purdy goes and wins the Super Bowl, then I think it's his job. But there should still be like that looming threat of Trey Lance being on his ass, and they still continue to compete. So Brock Purdy having the starting role, but they're still competing, of course, because this dude if he wins the Super Bowl, it's like this dude just won the Super Bowl. Of course he gets a starting job. And in the fashion that the way he's playing right now, if he's doing that rolling into the Super Bowl and through the Super Bowl, how can you stop that hot train, man? And Garoppolo, he's just on the first flight out of here.
Yeah, the Niners have a really good situation. Like Grant Cohn said it best. And again, whatever your opinions are, Grant, that's a whole other conversation. But he thinks the Niners have a really good situation going into next year, having two quarterbacks that can play.
Really, even 3.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I hate to break it to you, Wolf, but I don't think Josh Johnson, he's a journeyman for a reason, unless they bring somebody else
Oh,
in.
no. No. I know Garoppolo's going to be a free agent, but the 49ers have surprised us before, so I
you're
can't rule it
saying,
out.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
So the 49ers do have 3 good quarterbacks on their hands, but he's going to be a free agent, so he's going to be up for grabs. But I think he's going to be on the first flight out of here. And I think the 49ers should be looking at who they're going to use that third round comp pick on it going into the draft or in a trade.
Be an interesting draft too this year with all these third round picks. You think maybe the Niners do some sort of maneuvering if they see somebody early in the draft that they maybe think that they could use, which is one of the last questions I got for us down the list about potential stuff going into next offseason. But No Border Sports, Ryan says Jimmy G is still alive. When I think of that, I think when the Emperor is standing over burnt Anakin on Mustafar and Revenge of the Sith, and he's like, he's still alive, like barely. He's like barely hanging on to the Force. So that's like Jimmy. He's like, damn it, he's still alive. But,
oh man, I forget who said it, but it might have been Damian Lee. I feel like it was Damian Lee said Garoppolo should just go be the CEO of Hooters already.
Right. Fit right in.
Yeah.
Charles Drake with the $1 super. I appreciate it, Charles. I guess Steven, one of my gaming buddies.
We're splitting that, right?
Yeah, 50 cents a piece.
All right, hell yeah.
He says, Steven L, do the cha-cha. Steven says, do the cha-cha, Aaron, or I'll hog tie you in RD2. That's really messed up. Yeah, because you can turn on friendly fire. You could actually hog tie your own player.
Hog tie and teabag?
Don't give him any ideas. Do not give him any ideas.
Oh, man. I need to get some of you guys in with me on Madden.
But, let's we haven't even touched on the Niners. How much more time do you got? How long can you go?
I'm good, bro. Go ahead.
So the Niners defense against the Cardinals, or against the Raiders, Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
They were bad. They were real bad. Scary to watch because of the playoffs coming and so much. When you think of the teams that are in there and how much more talented they are than the Raiders.
Yeah.
How unsettling was that for you to watch, and how much has it affected your, you looking forward to the 49ers as a potential Super Bowl champion when you kind of have that kind of hanging in your mind after that performance?
I mean, I kind of had the lingering thought in the back of my mind even before the game that the 49ers might be slouching and sleeping on the Raiders a little bit, and that maybe the Raiders could catch lightning in a bottle with Stidham, him being not really having not much film on him, and he kind of just comes out of nowhere and maybe has a little bit of success. And I think that's what happened, man. I don't think he's doing anything that's too amazing. I think even Nick Bosa, how he said that the 49ers just took it for granted, basically. They underestimated the Raiders' offense, and it bit them in the ass, and they're not going to do it again. So hopefully they stick by their words and prepare with the utmost respect for teams going forward, man. But they've done really good things. Of course, Hufanga has some things to clean up.
Mm-hmm.
I might be calling for Tayshaun Gibson, Jimmy Ward safety tandem pretty soon if we don't see things improve. Well, the good thing, I will give Hufanga this credit that after that touchdown that he allowed early in the game, it didn't really happen again after that for the most part. So didn't get too far away from him after that, but let's not give away anything if possible, man, because even D'Amico Ryans has talked about the frustration that he's kind of expressed to Hufanga that, hey, man, you got to be better than that. You got to be smarter. You got to take care of your assignment and stop being so aggressive and stop trying to be the hero. It's not hero ball out there.
He said it. Because John Lynch was asked about it in an interview on KNBR, and pretty much said that, this isn't the end all be all. He still thinks the Niners are one of the best defenses in the NFL. He goes, but he made a comparison to the Buccaneers defense in 1999, where they were just absolutely ferocious And then they went and played against, I forget the team, and they lost like 44-0. And he talked about like it happens sometimes, just things get out of whack. Players, outplay their particular, overall talent. I mean, the Raiders, he made a point that the Raiders do have some really good offensive players. Renfro, Devontae Adams. I'm thinking of another player. Their tight end's really good. So, I mean, they had some offensive.
Darren Waller, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, I mean, they're very loaded.
Yeah.
So I'm not particularly. I am a little concerned, to be honest with you, but and then you have, of course, you have their defensive coordinator D'Amico Ryan talking about how Hufanga's got to get smarter with his eyes. Yeah. He's got to get more discipline with his eyes. Yeah. So that is definitely something. I mean, it concerns me because everybody has a high-powered offense that's in the playoffs. They're all there for a reason because they could all score points.
Yeah.
And so I am a little bit concerned, but who knows? Maybe the Niners come out and just play completely more, more engaged football. And it was just a big slip. I mean, but they had some issues against the Dolphins. They had some issues against the Chiefs. They had issues against Atlanta, Washington. So, I mean, but then also we're kind of almost like wanting them to be perfect and forgetting that this is the NFL too. So, real quick, Beto, don't worry about it, man. He said, sorry, gentlemen, I'm at the hospital with my grandson. This live completely slipped my mind. No apology necessary. I'm just glad you're okay. We didn't know if you were okay. So
everything's good.
Prayers up with you and your grandson. The live stream will be here in the future, so no worries. I'm just glad to hear from you, to be honest with you. Real quick, Brian called up with the $2 super. He says Jimmy G backup. Jimmy G as a backup could win his third ring, right? Oh, that's so strange.
Hey, if for better or for worse, he could go and sell one of them for some money if he doesn't get a big contract.
Dude, he should have enough money to live on for 6 lifetimes.
Oh yeah.
The hell out of here.
But I think,
go ahead.
I mean, we picked on Hufanga. There's a lot of things this defense has to clean up, man. It's definitely, like you said, Hufanga has to clean up his assignment, his eyes. The D-line has to clean up their gap disciplines with the integrity of the line.
Yeah, their rush lanes are humongous.
Oh, my God. So, it was an overall poor defensive performance. I'm including D'Amico Ryans in that as well.
Diamador Lenore played bad.
Yeah, why is Diamador Lenore matched up on Devontae Adams and Darren Waller, two of the biggest guys on the offensive field? Well, tallest guys, I should say.
Yeah, the size difference was insane. On Waller looks so dumb. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Waller's what, 6'6"?
Yeah. And Devontae Adams.
Yeah, he's pretty huge too, 6'4" maybe.
Yeah.
And Diamador Lenore's what, 5'10"?
5'10", yeah. It's ridiculous, man. So everybody had a hand in this defensively, man. So D'Amico Ryans, clean it up, man. You're the coordinator. You got to get everybody in the position to be successful. You got to get everything cleaned up. Nick Bosa, yourself too, man. You played great, but the rest of the D-line, all you guys need to play better and more disciplined.
I haven't seen any pass rush for weeks.
Well, it's not just that.
It's like overshooting. It's Bosa or bust to me.
Yeah.
Like who else can you say has consistently been on this defensive line other than Bosa with sacks, pressures on a consistent basis? Nobody.
I love what Armstead's been doing, man.
Oh, that I agree with. Yes.
Yeah, but if Nick Bosa could get more bull rushes, man, I think he's taking that part of his game for granted, pushing guys right into the quarterback. That caused the interception at the end of the game. So
it did.
Yeah.
That was real quick. Raphael 562 $5 super. Thank you very much. Says, who carries a team in the playoffs? The offense or the defense? I don't care as long as we win, but I would love the defense to carry us because then it means that the offense doesn't have pressure to have to score 40. But that's a good question, Raphael. It's we're gonna see real quick. Real quick. We got about a week and then we'll know. Hopefully the Niners are not one and done. That's the only thing. When you win all these games in a row, it's like, geez, I hope they don't decide to lose a game in the playoffs after winning 9 or 10 straight. So, where is it? People think I sound like Ray Romano. Oh, are you making fun of me? I do sound like Ray Romano. That's okay though. Bashar says he wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy had surgery at the last minute.
Oh,
right? To screw us again? That
Yeah.
son of a bitch. Oh man.
would he be screwing us though? We'll see. Maybe Josh Johnson's just a little bit better than him.
I don't know. I don't even want to talk about Jimmy being on this team next year. That would be a travesty of epic proportions.
Oh, I thought he was talking about before the Super Bowl.
I would assume he was talking about the last minute.
The free agency.
Oh, that's true. Sorry, I didn't mean to scream into the mic. That's true.
He'd be screwing himself though, because he's not under contract like he was last offseason. So that would F up his whole free agency. He would
I think you're right. He might have been talking about the in the playoffs. I'm just gonna decide to go have surgery. Screw you guys. Stephen Lacey, he says, "Would you like to come down and sell it from a popsicle? I got a whole freezer full of them."
Hey, Chris.
He does by the way, Steve does a really good Mr. whatever, the guy that has the lisp.
Herbert the Pervert.
Yeah, that was his old YouTube name.
Got some popsicles in my basement.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, we used to do that. We used to do that to my buddy all the time. His name's Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Get your fat ass back here.
Get your fat ass back here.
We talked about Huff and Demo. One of the things we get to look forward to is we don't have Hopkins playing, and they're down to their fourth string quarterback in David Blau, I think his name is.
David Blows.
Blau, whatever. It doesn't matter.
David Blows.
Are we going to make this guy? Are we going to make this guy a hero too, or are we going to freaking put the Cards out of their misery in this game? What's your overall feeling? You think the Niners come out fired up in this game because of how it last week happened, or do you think the Niners might underestimate the Cardinals and maybe come out flat again?
Well, I think the Falcons' defense did pretty good against Mr. Blows over there, and hopefully this our defense looks the same. A quarterback that blows, like 49er minded is saying.
Yeah, he's talking about you and your one-liners. He's got a couple of them too. I just want to say.
Shout out Bashar, man.
Bashar's a good guy.
Hell yeah.
Bashar's a pizza connoisseur. I got to go to the West Coast one of these days. He says that he can make better pizza than like a lot of the chains or the. He had Gina, I think it's Gina repping the Bay. Her name is. Yeah. 49er fan. I was watching the stream. She's half Italian or Sicilian like me. Mm-hmm. So he was asking her pizza questions. And he was asking her, thin crust, thick crust. Me, it depends. Thin crust, if I know I'm going to be the only one eating the pizza and maybe there's some wings. But if I have to share pizza with a bunch of other people, thick crust, because I actually want to get full. So
better yet, stuffed crust.
When's the last time? But I've had stuffed crust. I remember the one where Pizza Hut had like the breadsticks attached to the and then you could dip them. Yeah, that was really good. Pizza Hut's usually pretty horrible.
Yeah.
I am a fan of. I'm a big fan of sauce. Like you got to have a really good sauce, zesty, And I overheard Gina say she doesn't like a ton of cheese. I'm totally down with that too. Too much cheese, it's like disgusting. What? It's like milky. I'm a big fan of spicy cut pepperoni. Absolutely fantastic. And I'm plain. I like pepperoni pizza. That's it. I am so plain. I miss Papa John's out here in where I live because I'd get a large pizza, but I would get like 6 or 8 garlic cups because I love the garlic sauce to dip it in. It was so good. for like every 2 slices, it was like 1 garlic cup for me. And the only problem is you couldn't get it off your tongue no matter how much you brushed. So if you were trying to kick it to some chick, probably not in your best
Oh,
bet.
no. Yeah.
See, this is, yeah, Brian said it best. He says, Pizza Hut sucks. It's greasy and the breadsticks are hard. Yeah, I never understood with the stiff-ass breadsticks.
I think Domino's is worse, though. That one
Yeah.
gives me automatic heartburn.
I had Domino's the last time, probably 6-8 months ago, and it was just like too cheesy, too saucy. It was just like too greasy and mushy. There was like no whatever to the pizza. It was so gross, and I was just
It's like
I
a
can't
really,
do it.
it's like a really acidic grease, I feel like.
Yeah, I had a really bad, and I don't get heartburn from pizza. I actually get heartburn when I have certain barbecue sauces. I think from the vinegar.
Yeah.
I've been woken up out of a sound sleep and it burned my throat for like 2 days. Like it was that bad. Yeah, it's weird.
Damn.
And I love when you get old, all these things that you used to make fun of, like your pops. When my pops was alive,
Oh, no.
I used to mess with all his, you can't see dad? What's the matter? Ooh, and like try to move stuff in front of him and stuff. All the body things, all the eyes going, the eyesight, heartburn, all sorts of, I can't eat this anymore. It's all coming to the forefront as I've turned 40. Yeah, like all that you talk, even if it was just in jest, it still comes back to bite you. So
shouldn't have been talking shit.
I know. I'm such a horrible son.
Bashar was asking me about that, man. I told him, like you said, sauce matters. I like white sauce pizza is really good.
Do you? My brother is a big fan of white sauce. My brother will eat a lot of different types of pizza. He's made a white sauce, like Alfredo sauce pizza, and put all sorts of silly stuff on it. He's done it at home. Problem is, I have a gas stove, so the only way you can get color, it's hard to get color, even with the stone in the stove. Because, when you have convection, you get the heat underneath and you get a bottom. It's just really tricky making pizza in a stone and in a gas oven. So, and then you want to get color, you don't want to dry the toppings out. And if you have too many toppings, sometimes it can soak through and then it's just like mushy, wet pizza. So it's all, whatever. It's all but taste. Pesto, I am not a fan of pesto. It's disgusting.
It's pretty good.
I hate it.
You stop that.
My brother made some sort of Alfredo with this sauce that he made, and I forgot exactly what goes into the sauce. So I don't know if it's like really good. It's like a white sauce, but the pesto added to it was just absolutely atrocious. So
maybe depends who makes it.
Yeah, well, he made it, so maybe that was the reason why. I love my brother though; he's a good guy. Back to football.
Yep.
Any chance D'Amico Ryan stays as a defensive coordinator? It's definitely been a rumor going around if he doesn't see a job out there that he's really keen on, or if what's his name, the Saints coach or ex-Saints coach gets the premier job, and maybe he's forced to go to a job that has a less appealing situation. You think any chance he stays, or is he good as gone?
I mean, me, of course, man. I think there's a certain scenario for everything. Even Jimmy Garoppolo, like I said, I would see if I could see the 49ers keeping him just because they love to surprise us and catch us off guard. And I think he's on his way out the door, but I just always leave that little creak in the door where Garoppolo could come back and D'Amico Ryans could come back. But I hope D'Amico comes back, man. I hope he builds a dynasty here with Kyle Shanahan and looks at that for an opportunity. Same thing with the players, man. Guys with extending their contracts and making it more team friendly for everybody to get paid so we can keep a really good, solid foundation for at least a decade to come. And then we'll go from there, man. But let's build a dynasty here. Hopefully he sees it that way. I don't know, but everybody says he's probably the hottest candidate right now in the eyes of the league for a head coaching job. So it's not looking too good for us.
Eric Davis made a good point to say that if he gets when he gets interviews, they're going to ask him about this Raiders game. He's going to be questioned on it. on what was the issue on defense and the issue with them not adjusting and, the defense, quote unquote, getting exposed. That was just like, that's really interesting. Eric Davis being an ex-player, he says people will ask in interviews about, performances that were against, the norm for your defense and what did you see and what exactly happened. And I was like, that's really interesting. So
yeah, your good performances and your poor performances.
Yeah.
Ask about both and see what kind of character D'Amico Ryans but I think he's going to pass that.
So he leaves. Mm-hmm. There's talk that, there was talk that the 49ers might bring back, I know, who I'm talking about. Defensive coordinator, was with the Broncos. He was the Broncos head coach for a while.
Don't tell me, because I know. Why am I forgetting his name right now?
I know. I was thinking about it off stream, and as soon as I come on here, I forget everything.
I'm not going to look at the chat.
Fangio.
Oh,
whatever.
My God. Big Fangio, yeah.
They're saying, he's going to go wherever so-and-so goes.
Sean
Payton.
Yeah.
If Sean Payton goes to Denver, I don't see him going back there. If we're going to move on, there's not anybody else I really would like to see us have as a defensive coordinator, to be honest with you.
The Vic Fangio.
I loved Vic Fangio as our defensive coordinator. Loved him. He's just not head coach material. He's an old school Italian, just like a miserable, moody, perfect for a defensive coordinator. Not real social. He's just like, all he cares about is defense. He comes into the office. You know what? I got this really good blitz. You know what I mean? Like, some guys are just better being position coaches, and he's totally that guy. And I really, really hope if we move on from D'Amico, he is the guy. I really hope he doesn't go anywhere else.
Yeah. I mean, even I thought about Robert Saleh a little bit, with what's going on with the Jets over there. But even then, I think it's pretty set in stone that it's more of Zach Wilson being the issue, and it doesn't seem like they point at Robert Saleh being the issue.
They have a really good defense from what a lot of people are saying. Their offense doesn't do anything. So
yeah, I think they're going to stick with him. So maybe he'll come back, but we'll see. We'll see what happens after next year. Probably they're probably going to give him at least another year.
They have to. Well, They don't have to, but they should. If they listen to us, everybody would get more than years they need. So, and then the last one really is just a look. I know we're still in the season, but definitely looking ahead to the off season. There's things that have arisen that have been red flags of things that the Niners might need to address in the off season. And the one thing I said on Monday on the NWO show is I think the Niners need another outside rusher, opposite of Bosa, like a legit rusher, like a speed rusher, a guy who rushes the quarterback. That's what he does. Comes in on third down, second and long, and just rushes quarterback. I know the Niners don't have a ton of money, and they're going to invest a lot of money into Bosa. They have a lot of defensive linemen that are going to be free agents. And to be honest with you, we have a lot of good depth, but nobody on that defensive line has really stood out as like a can't miss. We got to keep this guy type player. And then maybe secondary wise, maybe readdressing the cornerback position. Any other, do you agree with any of that? Or is there any other positions as you go into the offseason? Did you think the Niners need to really lock in on?
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether they're going to go the veteran route or if they're going to draft. I would assume they're going to go the veteran route because Drake Jackson basically going into next year is still kind of going to be a rookie a little bit. And I think D tackle is going to be another big position to look for, especially depending how Javon Kinlaw finishes out the season, if he does, knock on wood. I know somebody in there, it was it G9 Garage says don't jinx us either, so I'm gonna knock on wood about what I said earlier. But
did it too.
Yeah, man. I think D tackle and defensive end are two things to look at. But I think Drake Jackson is going to be really good for us, especially next year once maybe he cuts down in weight a little bit.
Yeah, he's big, but he looks a little on the chunky side, I guess you could say.
I think it's just a little heavy, like his feet are kind of weighed down, and he's not as quick as he could be. but I think he maybe overestimated the size he wanted to be for the NFL. But we'll see, man. The staff is going to get with him and get him to the optimal weight. And yeah, man, I'm curious to see what happens with Javon Kinlaw. And we need some guys at depth at least that are difference makers big time that can get sacks, not just Bosa, of course.
Yeah, that's the thing that worries me is a lot of people are like, "Oh, your defense is so good." My brother's like, "What do you mean you need more?" I'm like, "Jared, it's literally Bosa or nothing on defense with sacks."
That's the scary thing, man. It's like
if he goes down, we're cooked, man. Like, and I know that's talking negative, and people say don't do it, but you got to be honest, man. That's how I feel. It's the Niners. Like, okay, we're still in this year, and it's all about this year, and whatever happens, happens. But I look at the team and I see deficiencies. Who says the Niners have been known to just keep readdressing the same positions in the draft year after year.
Yeah.
Go after corner again. Go after defensive line again. It's what you do best. The one thing I will say, if we do have a defensive coordinator change, there's parts about the wide nine that I hate. That I would love a more traditional defense to be installed. So Fangio coming back,
More
I don't know if he
3-4.
Yeah, 3-4 is some sort of hybrid if he can, do it because we have this our roster is kind of predicated towards a 4-3 defense, right? But like there's just parts about the wide nine that I just can't stand.
Yeah. Susceptible to the run game is one of the things.
Yeah, especially with the wide sets and the running quarterback. I mean, they weren't even adjusting in that game. I was flipping out. Like there was no accounting of the quarterback in that game. None. There wasn't a spy. There wasn't anybody within 15 yards of that guy. But this has been a problem since 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just this year. It wasn't just a Raiders game. They have a horrible time with quarterbacks that can move. Horrible.
Yeah, it's really promising because I was talking about the whole run game as a whole. The wide nine is really susceptible to running game in general. And so for the 49ers to be the number one defense in rushing yardage allowed and all that stuff is pretty damn it's a pretty damn good badge of honor, I think. Because coming from Robert Saleh running the wide nine, all these guys ran it for the most part, and DeMeco Ryans coming in making adjustments and stuff like that. He has done a lot of good things, man, and that Raiders game was kind of fluky, so we'll just see how it goes from here on out, man. But
definitely.
Yeah, you're right. The wide nine is kind of fluky itself in certain ways.
Yeah, there's parts about it that you love. The quarterback pressure and collapsing the pocket and all that's great. But if you don't get pressure and a quarterback who has wheels and you rush integrity is garbage and you rush so far upfield that you lose contain, there's green grass because, the Niners are dropping in zone and forcing you to try to fit passes in over linebackers and in front of safeties and stuff. And what the hell? If I have 10 yards in front of me, I'm going to run every play. So,
yeah.
But 49er might have made a good point about Kalia Davis. Looks like he's not going to be brought onto the roster. That is something that I was hoping that I would see. Maybe he just isn't ready, Bashar, physically. They never said he was. They just said he was working towards it. But I feel like Kalia Davis is probably something to look for next year. Someone, we might lose, a couple guys here and there on the defensive line, but we're getting Kalia Davis. We might lose Aziz Al-Shaair at linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
We have McCrary Ball, who played well in the preseason. Safety that was converted to linebacker. The Niners are always, I must say, for as much grief as we give them for missing on picks, with the whole, the 2017 draft comes to mind. Niners have made some really good down the road picks where they redshirt guys. That's why I think someone like Drake Jackson, with another year under his belt, another year in the weight room, another year working on his craft, will be even better next year. And he cares. Like if you watch him, that interception that he got off that tip, he was so happy. That's what you want to see. You want engaged. You want guys that have fun. So I think the Niners. Oh, go ahead.
Drake Jackson himself was pretty close to getting the sack too, man. So that's what I'm saying. He's going to be really good for us going into the future. And how you're talking about the 49ers are really good at finding talent, diamonds in the rough.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of wish they were more diverse in it, because it seems like they consistently get pretty badass defensive linemen, badass running backs, badass linebackers. And it's like, can we get a badass right tackle?
Or a badass
Please?
corner.
That too, yeah.
Or two.
Yeah.
Like what happened at
in
what
the
happened?
draft.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, in the
don't pay
draft.
for him.
Yeah.
They had Javarius Ward. He's played pretty well this year. He's been pretty locked down for the most part. He's had some games, but I'm sorry, there's no such thing as lockdown quarter in today's NFL. These receivers are too good, too fast, and safeties make mistakes too. So, that's pretty much it, man. We covered everything. I want to let you, if you have anything going on your channel this week or the rest of this week, if you would love to promote, go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, no, just everybody, if you haven't already, go check me out at Niner Gang Wolfcast. Probably stream a pregame, maybe do a stream tomorrow. I don't have any plans set in stone just yet, but I will do a post game for sure. I always do that. That's something that I always do, usually later after the game, after most of the activity has kind of died down a little bit. So keep a lookout for me, man. Niner Gang Wolfcast. It's right there on the screen, guys. And are we going to do predictions still?
And we could do predictions.
Yeah.
I'm not really going to go score.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I'll go score. I'll let you go first.
Okay.
And I'll go.
So yeah, man, hopefully we see Josh Johnson sooner than later, as because of the score. But I think it's going to be like a 27-10 type game. So I can see it being that, or a 27-9. We'll see how it goes, man.
Raphael, who just gave me a $2 super, thank you very much. He says 34-10. I'm going to go more of the 24-10 ballpark, 24-7. I just don't see realistically how they're going to be able to move the ball without, Hopkins being in there and being on a fourth string quarterback. I think even their running back might not be playing. I don't know if James Conner's playing in this game.
Yeah, I don't think he's playing.
So, I mean, if he's not playing, then the Niners can make themselves look really good and readjust those defensive rankings. They need to pitch a shutout, and then it'll realign all the stats as the season ends. So, yeah, 24-10. I say the Niners go up, and maybe late third quarter, early fourth, they pull everybody. And maybe you see Josh Johnson, maybe you see Ty Davis Price. I can't say they're going to pull everybody because you just don't have enough people with the 53-man roster and only 48 up on game day, I think it is. So, but we'll see, man. Predicting is not always my strong suit. I always get everything completely wrong. So I just want us to get out of the game without injuries.
Yeah.
And
we'll be screen peeking.
Steve Supremo brought up Watt, and this is his final game as an NFL player. So hopefully the Niners can send him out with no sacks,
with an ass whooping.
Yeah, send him out with an ass whooping.
Run right at him.
He's a good dude, real good guy in the community, but I don't care. Not tomorrow or not Sunday.
Run right at him.
Right. Bashar, before we get out of here, says, I wish the NFL changed its active roster rules and increase the sizes. Yeah, same.
That's what I said, man. It's
Same.
ridiculous. It's like, I don't understand why they put so many loops for all the teams to jump through. It's like,
there's not really any reason why they do it. They just have to do it because it's the NFL and they have to have control over everything.
Like 53-man roster, and then you get a couple guys go down and there's nobody to step in for them. And then you got the IR activation, stupid stuff, the salary cap, the practice squad limit, all that's like, it's too much, man.
It is
way too much.
49er Miner reminded me, he says, coming out party for Bosa to beat Alden Smith. Yeah. I hope he can, but I'm not betting on it. Just based on how they performed last week. I mean, Bosa's really been the only guy pass rush wise. But who knows? Maybe we're wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I think he's going to blow up David Blow.
You think he gets? I think he gets like 4 sacks and breaks the record. That would be great.
Yeah,
but,
this guy looked a little finicky in the pocket against the Falcons.
Good. Get like somebody who's really hungry and they're about to eat something they really like. Maybe Bosa's just like, oh, I'm killing this guy.
Yeah, he's gonna blow up David Blow.
Yeah, make him blow at least for this game. But hey, everybody in the chat, thanks for sticking out for the hour and 40 minutes. We're going to get out of here. Appreciate it. We'll be back next Friday. We're going to be talking playoff football.
Everybody go tell Raj, Tom, he better show up next Friday.
Yeah, I invited, for anybody who doesn't know, I invited Raj. He couldn't make it. And I invited, I'm not blasting these guys. I really love them. They have lives. And I also invited Rohan too, and he couldn't make it either. So who knows? I put out the invites. That's why I said in the description, possible special guest. I didn't realize it was only going to be me and Wolf, but I had fun. Wolf is Bashar made it a good point. He's like, you come off serious, but you have all these great one-liners. So it's kind of you're kind of a tough guy to figure out, but I think I've kind of figured you out, so that's good. But I just want to say thanks to everybody coming through. Yeah, everybody's really busy. Raj is really busy. I don't take anything to heart.
Hey, that's why I'm putting it on everybody in the chat. You guys go bug them.
Yeah, go bug them, but make sure you say it's within jest. Don't be like Aaron hates you or Wolf
Tom
doesn't
Wolf
like
said,
you.
No,
Yeah,
Tom Wolf said, "Get your ass over here. We ain't playing."
Yeah, well, if he wants to take the heat, go ahead. Brian Culp says send out the bat signal, which means if we ever need another guest,
there you go. The 49.
I got to get David McNew in here.
McNiner.
Yeah, I'm going based on his last name. Unless his last name's McNiner, then
it is no.
That's pretty good, pretty interesting.
He showed me his birth certificate.
That's really your last name, don't you? All right. Hey, thank you, Brian, for the $2 super. Everybody have a great night, and we'll see you guys next week as we'll be looking forward to the playoffs, and hopefully the Niners, I don't know, hopefully they come out with this game with a victory and stay healthy. So peace out, everyone.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.